Hey guys, welcome back. Recently, Perun sent over a couple of different new triggers. First was their Clicker V2 Pro. It's more geared toward the milsim side of things, more realism. They also sent over their Perun Speeder V2. This is more geared toward the speed soft, close quarters, CQB airsoft gun area of the airsoft world. So we're going to be installing this in an airsoft gun today and seeing what it's like. This is sort of a new concept for the airsoft industry. You can kind of tune your triggers to some degree to be a really short trigger pull, just almost like a hair trigger with a really short take up and a really short reset with, various triggers and other things out there. But this is sort of a new idea where it is sort of a soft clicker, if you will, and it's more geared toward that really short, really fast trigger pull where you can just almost paintball trigger like crazy. We're going to install this in an older gun that I've had for a little while, and I've used it a little bit, but I want to use it more since it's so lightweight and it's so compact. It's an ICS MP5 SD6. I got it probably 10 years ago, and it had a ton of parts in it. By no means was it brand new, but it was in fantastic condition, and I want to put a better trigger in it just to get it that nice quick reset, and I'm probably going to put a softer spring in it too. It's shooting more field right now, but I want to drop it more to that CQB speed so I can use it more inside of buildings and not out in the woods, out at Nighthawk Airsoft. The Perun Speeder, just like the Clicker series, comes in a pretty small package, and keep in mind you will have to have a Perun hybrid V2 MOSFET for this to work. These are not terribly expensive. They're a really great price point for all the feature set and durability you get, and so plus the Speeder or the Clicker, you're right around $100 for the two. To find the instruction manual online, get your phone out. There's a QR code on the front or the top that'll open up a PDF on the Perun website for how to install and use the speeder. The package will include the speeder itself as well as a couple of extras you can swap out your settings with, specifically a small Allen key to swap out any springs or components on the speeder. 2 different springs are included, a hard spring and a soft spring for different spring tensions, and 3 different screws for 3 different click strengths. The plastic one is no click, the chrome one is a soft click, and the black one is a medium click. I'll go ahead and install the soft spring and show how much of a resistance that offers with each of these screws. The plastic screw requires a small flathead to install. I don't have a terribly small flathead, but this kind of does the trick if I'm really slow and methodical with it. So no click, it's just a really soft press. This is as soft and as quick as it'll go. The soft click is definitely easier to install since it works with the Allen key that's included. Definitely more of a click there. There's more magnetism because it's a metal component. And the hardest click, I'd say it's kind of akin to a really tough micro switch, give or take. It's definitely more magnetism there. Now I'll go ahead and install the heavier spring here. Getting this spring out, I'm just using a small Allen key here, and I'll drop the heavier spring in. Since the plastic screw has no break, I can really just leave it out and we'll get the same feel here. It's pretty soft. It is definitely a little more tension there, and I kind of like that. The soft spring, there's really not a whole lot of strength there, but the more powerful spring, you definitely get a nicer feel to it. With the chrome screw, you get a little bit heavier press there. It's very, very soft still, even with the heavier spring, but it kind of feels akin to like a regular TM style trigger switch. And then with the black screw, you definitely get the most click there with the heavy spring by far. It's very similar to the soft spring just because the magnetism there. Additionally, either of the 2 long metal grub screws, you can push them in a little bit more so that they are exposed to the magnet there a little bit less, and that will reduce the brake force there. So I will unscrew this and take it out to a farther length so it is exposed more to the magnet here. There's a pretty noticeable difference. This is about as heavy as you can get it with the black screw out fairly far. And it's reasonably heavy, at least as heavy as the speeder will go with all the different variations. Just inside of the port there's an adjustment screw for your pre-travel. The top grub screw here, I took that out to install the different springs, and if you push that in even farther, it'll adjust the spring tension even more. And lastly, the bottom screw here is the adjustment for your over travel. Now I have a brand new Perun hybrid MOSFET to go with the speeder here. Because the speeder requires the sensitivity on the trigger to be either the highest or second highest setting depending, I'm going to go ahead and install this, get it all set up and working, and then set the sensitivity. Then we're going to drop in the speeder. Now, because this is an ICS replica, I did have to use one of the ICS specific stickers. I've had some interesting results on occasion with the regular stickers, with just G3 and MP5 style guns in general. I think it's probably best for most of these just to go with the ICS sticker. I dropped it on at first try, it worked great. So, semi works fine. Full auto works great. All right, I have both the trigger sensitivity modes for semi and full auto set up to 5, which is the maximum sensitivity. So I'm going to exit out of that. The longer and longer I tack, I feel like the more and more I want to leave things stock and swap out as little as possible just to keep things running as smoothly as possible for as long as possible. So to that end, of course, I'm using the stock gearbox shell. So I've got the stock gears, the great stock solid metal bushings. Stock cylinder, it's a lot more air volume than we actually need since it's a pretty short barrel, but it's nice for those heavy BBs. I believe this is an ASG cylinder head if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Since I got this secondhand, this was already installed. I have no idea what brand sorbethane pad this is, but it feels rather tough. I'd probably stick like a 70D or so. A fairly Swiss cheesed piston. I believe this is one of the older SHS ones. I haven't seen a purple one in a long time. I did not do the work on this. This is the way it came used, and I believe I put an Elite Force, which is probably Aries, piston head on there. It's got bearings as well. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is also a Super Shooter spring guide. These are fine, and this is like an M100 spring. I pulled this out of an ICS GSG22 I picked up broken and fairly used. So it was nice to get an ICS spring in here so I can keep the velocity fairly low. And lastly, Lonex A1 motor. I have these on occasion. I think I bought this quite a while ago, is when they first came out. This is a Toki Marui pinion, and it ended up meshing really, really well with the ICS bevel. All right, keep in mind, we don't need the magnetic component here on the trigger because the speeder takes care of that for us, so we can take this off. The speeder is pretty simple how it sits in here. It literally just drops in, and this was really, really tight here with the mechanical safety hole right here. It kind of sits in there to keep its place. I actually had to file that out just a little bit. Oh, my wires are falling out here. To note, this is an ICS gearbox, of course. It's not on the list of gearboxes that will definitely work on the PDF. So I did have to do a little bit of custom work to get it to fit, namely just filing out this little hole here a little bit so it would drop nicely in. Now it's nice and secure. I've tuned the over travel and pre-travel just a little bit. So it's a really nice short trigger pull. All right, let's give it a try all assembled. I'm going to use a Titan 1200 milliamp hour 11.1 volt 25C battery. This is one of their like butterfly-esque batteries. I'm going to plug this in, safe. Nothing happens. There is no mechanical safety on the speeder. It totally removes that. Semi. Pretty short trigger pull. This is the smallest amount of take up there, barely a millimeter. I've got a little bit of over travel I didn't account for there. I'm really pleased with this. This is a nice, quick. As fast as I can physically pull the trigger, it spawns, it cycles, it stops. Very fast, very excellent. This is a neat little trigger, and I think it's a cool addition to the airsoft market. And that is the Perun speeder. Thanks for watching, guys, and a big thank you to Perun Airsoft for sending out the speeder, the Perun hybrid MOSFET, and all the other products they've sent over the years. They rock, highly recommend them, and I'm really enjoying the speeder so far. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next review.